In the headlines, NIMET predicts heavy rainfall as Kano traders count losses from flood. Intrigues in Kano politics as appeal court sacks Sagagi PDP faction. Court denies Abba Kyari bail, fixes October 19 for trial. Away from Nigeria, at least 15 dead amid fighting in Iraqi capital as Shiite cleric resigns. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thank you for joining. And now the details. Textile dealers in the popular Kantin Kwari market in Kano have continued to count their losses following a flood that destroyed goods worth over 200 million naira and over 250 shops and stalls. The over 4-hour non-stop rainfall also wreaked havoc on most parts of Kano metropolitan areas, including major roads and the office of the State Emergency Management Agency. This has been a recurring situation since the beginning of the rainy season, with most of the drainages blocked with refuse, thereby closing up the waterways. Traders in Kantin Kwari, however, faulted government's handling of the construction of the market, with buildings erected on waterways and roads indiscriminately. SEMA, on the other hand, blamed the traders' poor sanitation culture, which they said led to the blockage of the few drainage systems left in the market. Meanwhile, the Kano state government has said it will soon begin the demolition of structures constructed on waterways following floods that have taken over major areas of the metropolis. The Commissioner for Information, Muhammad Garba, in a statement said that the government had set up a technical committee to look into the prevailing incidents of flooding occasioned by the intermittent heavy downpours recorded in the state in the last few days. He said the government was worried about the occurrence of the floods, which had wreaked havoc on the metropolitan area, including the popular Kantin Kwari textile market, where marketers said that they had incurred over 200 million naira losses. Garba said the committee had been saddled with the task of studying the metropolitan roads, drainage and culverts in the state of despair, with a view to rehabilitating them and reconstructing new ones where possible. Now, the death toll from the floods in Jigawa has risen to 51 as residents continue to recover from the havoc wreaked by the menace. This was disclosed on Tuesday by the Executive Secretary of the Jigawa State Emergency Management Agency, SEMA, Sani Yusuf. According to him, about 2,051 people have been displaced in Karanaya village in Dutse, the capital of Jigawa State. He stated that the state government has forwarded a report to the federal government seeking support in the management of the disaster. The Nigeria Meteorological Agency, NIMET, in its latest weather forecast, predicted 96 hours of heavy rainfall in 5 northern states and the Federal Capital Territory. The states to be affected include parts of Kaduna, Niger, Bauchi, Plateau, Nasarawa, and the FCT. NIMET disclosed that moderate to heavy rainfall is also expected in the rest parts of the country within the period under review. The forecasts reveal that there are chances of flash flooding on roads, low-lying settlements, and river channels following 2 consecutive days of downpour. The weather reports show that the moderate and heavy downpour are expected to be accompanied by strong winds, especially over the northern and central states. Hence, the public is advised to avoid low-lying terrains, not to drive through running water, clear waterways of debris, avoid standing under trees and unsecured structures during the rain, and switch off electric appliances. President Muhammadu Buhari has assented to 8 bills recently passed by the National Assembly. The bills are Civil Aviation Act, Nigerian Meteorological Agency Act, Pharmacy Council of Nigeria Establishment Act, and the Nigerian Council for Management Development Act 2022. Others are the National Institute of Credit Administration Establishment Act, Chartered Institute of Social Work Practitioners Establishment Act, Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria Act, and Counseling Practitioners Council of Nigeria Act 2022. In a statement signed by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on National Assembly Matters in the House of Representatives, Nasiru Babale, he said that the move repeals the Civil Aviation Act No. 6, 2006 and enacts the Civil Aviation Act 2022 to provide for an effective legal and institutional framework for the regulation of civil aviation in Nigeria in order to promote aviation safety, security, and ensure that Nigeria's obligations under international aviation agreements are implemented and consolidated. On NIMET, the Act repeals the Nigerian Meteorological Agency Act No. 9 of 2003 and enacts the Nigerian Meteorological Agency Establishment Act to provide for comprehensive legal and institutional framework for the regulation of meteorology in Nigeria, and also to advise the federal government on all aspects of meteorology, prepare and interpret government policies in the field of meteorology, and issue weather forecast for the safe operation of aircrafts, ocean-going vessels, and oil rigs in accordance with the International Civil Aviation Organization and World Meteorological Organization, as well as standard and recommended practices, among other acts repealed and enacted. Now, former Governor of Kano State, Ibrahim Shekarau, has formally announced his defection from the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, to the People's Democratic Party, PDP. This is coming barely 3 months after Shekarau defected to the NNPP from the All Progressives Congress, APC. Shekarau made the declaration on Monday at his Mundubawa home in Kano. He was formally received into the PDP by the party's presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar and the party's national chairman, Senator Iyorchia Ayu, among other bigwigs. Shekarau also said that he had written to the Independent National Electoral Commission to announce his withdrawal from the senatorial race for Kano Central under the NNPP.
Welcome His Excellency Ibrahim Shekarau into the PDP family and all his supporters. On their behalf, I present this membership card to Senator Shekarau, and all other cards will be presented to other members of his followers.
The Court of Appeal in Abuja has set aside the decision of a federal high court which recognized Shehu Sagagi as the chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in Kano. Sagagi, who was anointed by former Governor Rabiu Kwankwaso to lead the party in the state, is accused of being loyal to his former party leader, who now defected to the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP. The National Working Committee, NWC, of the PDP had on March 29th dissolved the state, local and ward executive committees of Kano State chapter of the party and appointed a 6-man caretaker committee as replacement. On May 25, Justice Taiwo issued a perpetual injunction retaining the PDP headquarters from removing Sagagi from office until the end of his tenure in December 2024. But the Court of Appeal on Monday set aside Justice Taiwo's judgment, saying that it was internal affairs of the party and that the party had powers to dissolve the Kano executives. The three-man panel, led by Justice Peter Ige, unanimously held that the decision of the PDP NWC to dissolve the executive committee at all levels in Kano State chapter of the PDP and appointment of caretaker committee members to lead and run activities of the party cannot be challenged in court as being contrary to the PDP constitution. Now, earlier on, we spoke with Daily Trust Kano Bureau Chief, and he had this to say.
From the body language and even the communication of the political PDP bigwigs at the campaign yesterday, you could say that they are very excited because Kano being one of the largest in the country in terms of population and even voting strength, you don't want to go into election without having a strong political leader that have followers, strong followers, and not to, without demeaning anyone. Malam Ibrahim Shekarau still enjoys a very large followership. So, but the problem is that the PDP itself, even without Malam, has its own challenges. They've been facing leadership crisis since 2019, if not even earlier than that. So now the challenge is for Malam to be able to come in and bring in his resources and deliver for Atiku. But with the judgment of the Court of Appeal yesterday, which sacked the Sagagi-led executive, it came, for those of us that are observant of Kano politics, it came both as a surprise and not a surprise. First, as a surprise in the sense that the Sagagi-led executive had also been part of the train of Atiku Abubakar coming to Kano to receive Malam Shekarau. So it was surprising when, after the entire ceremony yesterday, we heard about the court judgment. But it was not surprising on the other hand because we know that from day one, the cross of the fight between them is the belief that the Sagagi-led executives are imposed by the by former Governor Rabi Musa Konkoso, and they believe that while Konkoso is no longer in the party, he's still using the Sagagi-led executive to teleguide the affairs of the party. Of course, the Sagagi group have denied this in several occasions, but this has not put the matter to rest. So with this judgment of the Court of Appeal, I think Atiku and his group, which is the Issa Ayatu Gorozo, they are on course to take back the party.
Now, the Federal High Court in Abuja has fixed October 19, 20, and 21st as the trial dates for the embattled Deputy Commissioner of Police, Abba Kyari, and 4 others. Justice Emeka Nwite fixed the trial dates in his ruling on Tuesday in the nation's capital. He equally declined to grant bail to suspended Deputy Commissioner of Police, Abba Kyari, and 4 others. They are being prosecuted by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency on allegations bordering on a cocaine deal. Kyari was arraigned alongside 4 suspended police officers, including ACP Sunday Ubia, ASP James, Inspector Simon Agiriba, and Inspector John Nuhu as 2nd to 5th defendants respectively. Ruling on the bail application, Justice Emeka Nwite said that the applicants failed to present sufficient materials and evidence to warrant the granting of the fresh application. Justice Nwite therefore reaffirmed his earlier ruling on March 28, 2022, ordering an accelerated hearing. Meanwhile, the suspects are to be remanded at the Kuje Correctional Center in Abuja pending the commencement of their trial in October. And now on security matters, troops have killed a bandit and captured 3 others alive in efforts to rid Kaduna State of banditry. The Director of Army Public Relations Officer, Brigadier General Onyema Nwachukwu, disclosed this in a statement on Tuesday. He said that the troops declared bandits in Buruku, Udawa, Manini, Birningwari, Doka, Maganda, Kuyelo, and Dogom Dawa communities in Kaduna State. Nwachukwu stated that the incident happened on Monday while the soldiers were on a fighting patrol in the area, adding that some other bandits fled with various degrees of injuries. Items recovered from the bandits include one AK-47 rifle, 27 rounds of 7.62 mm special ammunition, and 18 motorcycles. The Army spokesman also urged members of the public, particularly health facilities and paramedics, to watch out for persons who may be seeking medical attention for gunshot wounds. Should they see any person with gunshot injuries, Nwachukwu asked health care facilities to please report to relevant security agencies. You're watching the news update on Trust Television. Coming up shortly. Nations against traffic rules. Details of this and more after the break.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Every patriotic Nigerian should hear this. Any politician who means well for the people will never allow themselves or their supporters to engage in any violent, destructive activities. No politician who truly wants to serve the people and develop the nation will encourage his followers to destroy properties or take human lives before, during, or after the elections. The Nigerian public must watch out for these traits and isolate any politician who encourages supporters to engage in violence. No genuine politician or patriot will cause trouble and seek to destroy the very society which they aspire to lead or develop. Politicians who have the good of the people at heart will not allow themselves or their followers to engage in violence, destruction of properties, and then taking of lives. Be vigilant. By their words you shall know them. Shun violence. Stay away from politicians who want you to do so. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. This message is from the National Orientation Agency, NORA.
That's great. The news update on Trust Television. Here is a recap of our top stories. NIMET predicts heavy rainfall as Kano traders count losses from flood. Intrigues in Kano politics as appeal court sacks Sagagi PDP faction. Now, in other news, the Secretary of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, George Epungu, on Monday asked the National Youth Service Corps to collaborate with the Commission to prevent corruption and other wrong practices from destroying Nigeria. He spoke in Abuja when he visited the NYSC Director General, Brigadier General Mohammed Kauku to strengthen the existing memorandum of understanding between both agencies. According to Ekpungu, both agencies have all it takes to prevent corrupt practices during the 2023 general elections. He said core members who were to participate in the conduct of the elections should be trained to resist politicians and their corrupt practices. On his part, Fada assured that during the coming elections, core members will be better than they had done in the past. Residents of the Federal Capital have called on the FCT administration to properly regulate the activities of dispatch riders within the FCT. The call came following growing reports of excesses of the riders who many believe lack proper training on the use of roads and therefore cause traffic violations. The report.
Driving through the streets of Abuja, Nigeria's capital city, on any working day, one is likely to come across dispatch riders on their way to deliver parcels and messages from one end of the city to another. In most cases, these riders are seen going against traffic rules, which in some cases have led to serious accidents on the roads. This act of theirs make many people wonder if some of these dispatched riders are qualified and properly sensitized on the use of the roads by relevant authorities.
We have conditions we have set for them. First of all, before you ride that bicycle, you are supposed to have what we call rider certification cards. Before you get that, you are supposed to have passed through the training where you are taught the traffic codes. It is believed that you understand it. But what the complaint some of them are bringing up is the owners of this business will give them 10 minutes to go and deliver something from Nyanya to Lugbe, or 5 minutes to deliver at Kubwa. And the next thing they do is to look for the shortest cut. When you don't feel that your life means anything, government will prove to you that your life is important. Not only your life, the life of others. You don't have to be making use of the road and endanger the life of others. So we will preach all these things. It's for you to learn and imbibe them. When you fail to imbibe them and you go contrary to the provisions of the law, we will not hesitate to handle you the way the law says you must be handled.
Joshua Sunday is one out of the many dispatch riders plying Abuja roads. He tells us why some dispatch riders are most times in a hurry, which leads to traffic violations.
Some people that is ordered for the food, they normally, because the customer that is ordered that food, you pressurize on you to run, to meet up. Some of us have that accident, but you tell the person in your mind that look at what is happening though. It's not only me. Traffic there on the roads, I cannot be beating traffic. Beating the traffic and you have accident, you are on your own.
The head of Public Relations Office of the DRTS, however, urged dispatch riders to operate according to laid down rules while helping to ease the service demands of numerous businesses in the Federal Capital City. Martia Umar, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Delta Airlines has announced the suspension of its New York-Lagos direct flights effective October 4th, 2022. The airline, in a statement, said its decision is to fit the current demand environment, adding that it will continue to operate its Lagos and Atlanta flights. The International Air Transport Association earlier in June said the Nigerian government was withholding $450 million that foreign carriers operating in the country had earned. However, the Central Bank of Nigeria last Friday announced the release of $265 million to foreign airlines, whilst the Association of Foreign Airlines and representatives in Nigeria urged the bank, the Apex Bank, to release the trapped funds in time. And away from Nigeria, Iraq's political crisis has descended into violence, sparking protests and clashes that killed at least 15 people and wounded dozens more. Iraq's military announced a nationwide curfew on Monday after shelling and gunfire erupted in the Iraqi capital and protesters stormed a government palace. The renewed violence has sparked concern with the United Nations and several countries calling for calm and dialogue to resolve disputes. President Volodymyr Zelensky has urged Russian troops to flee from an offensive launched by Ukraine's forces near the southern city of Kherson, saying that they were taking back their territory. Most of the Kherson region bordering the Black Sea and its provincial capital of the same name were seized by Moscow's military at the start of the invasion 6 months ago. Fighting was raging across almost the entirety of the region on Tuesday, Ukraine's presidency said. As often the case throughout the conflict, Russia dismissed Kyiv's claims, saying that the assault had failed. With the war in the eastern Donbas region largely stalled, analysts have said for weeks that combat is likely to shift south to break the stalemate before winter comes. And in sports news, West Ham have announced the club record signing of a Brazil midfielder Lucas Paqueta on a 5-year contract. The 25-year-old, who is expected to be part of the Brazil squad at this year's World Cup, has joined from Lyon. The initial £36.5 million deal for Paqueta could rise to more than £50 million, with potential add-ons eclipsing the £45 million signing of striker Sebastian Haller from Eintracht Frankfurt in 2019. Paqueta joined Lyon for 20 million euros in 2020 after 18 months at AC Milan. Still in sports news, Bournemouth have sacked manager Scott Parker after Saturday's 9-0 defeat by Liverpool 4 games into the season. After the loss, Parker, 41, said that he was not surprised and said that the team was ill-equipped at this level. It was their 3rd straight league defeat, having won their opening match. Gary O'Neill will take interim charge of the team and will be assisted by Sean Cooper and Tommy Elpig. Parker left Fulham for Bournemouth in June 2021 and led them to promotion from the Championship as runners-up. After winning their opening match 2-0 at home to Aston Villa, the Cherries conceded to 16 goals in their next 3 Premier League games, losing 4-0 at Manchester City and 3-0 at home to Arsenal before shipping 9 goals at Anfield. The former Charlton and Chelsea midfielder became the 11th manager to be sacked just 4 games into a Premier League season, the most recent being Javi Gracia at Watford in 2019. And that's a wrap on Trust News Update. Watch more via all our social media platforms. Don't forget to watch us live on YouTube. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.